the power of the internet. What was the biggest trouble that you got into as a kid, and how did you get out of it?
Good question. Well, first of all, I wasn't a rebel. When I was a kid, I wasn't a rebel. I was naughty, but I wasn't naughty in like sorry for repeating myself in a rebellious way. It's just that I think the worst trouble that I got into was at school. Okay, I've got a couple of other naughtier situations, but it's not for family consumption. But when I was at school, I think the worst thing I did, which was actually tame compared to other people, was that we were supposed to report for an athletics meeting at school. It was compulsory for everybody, and I didn't go. This was on a Saturday. So on Monday morning, I got called into the office, and our principal at the time was a Mr. Chater. Now, very, very strict gentleman. Respect him, the world of respect for him, but he looked like a mini Hitler. And he even had almost a moustache to match. But God rest his soul, he straightened the school out. He was very strict, and that's exactly what the school needed at the time. But what I didn't need was 4 flaps. I got 4 of the best. That's the worst I've ever got at school, just for not attending an athletics meeting.
So they smacked you.
They smacked me with a. That's how we got punished at school in those days. They made you bend over.
You think it's right?
Yes. They made you bend over, and with a cane that was this thin, like a bamboo, with a bamboo cane, they would smack you like a full-blooded hit, like from here, 4 times.
Was that just
They
a
made
South African thing at that time? Or
I don't know. I think it was us that, because that's all we knew.
Yeah.
I don't know what was happening in the rest of the world, but that's what we were brought up with.
Wow.
And the most they could give you at any one time was 6. So if you had 6 of the best, then you knew that you were in big trouble. So I got 4 of the best. Some guys thought they would be clever. So when they were in trouble, they went into the office, and the headmaster would say to them, bend over. But they would put a book inside their pants at the back. But I mean, how far can they get with that? I mean, you can tell the sound, the difference. So they would get a couple extra, although they weren't supposed to. But yeah, I mean, it was, I won't say it was brutal. I think it's what we needed. We needed discipline. And it was good. They gave us discipline.
Did they do that in girls' schools?
They should have. I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it very much. Yeah, in those days, the schools were different. They were separate. So there was no co-ed school in those days. It was girls' schools and boys' schools. And the other thing they also did was give us bacon slices.
Mm.
Do you know what a bacon slice is?
No.
Where they would take a steel ruler, or a wooden ruler, but the steel one was the worst. Make you bend over, but just try and give you a cut on your bum. So they would cut like a little,
Great.
wouldn't actually cut the piece of your bum off, but it's so painful, probably worse than a flap. So bacon slices were also like, you wanted to stay away from those. But good, it was good. That's exactly what we need now. And let me ask you a question now, okay? When we came out of school, we had compulsory conscription for the army. Now, I know it doesn't affect you directly, but say, for example, your boyfriend, Damien, okay? If he had to be called up to do 2 years in the army, okay, how would you feel about that?
I think just worried, and I'd probably have an existential crisis, because not doubting your abilities at all, Damien, but I don't think you'd survive in the army. I don't think a lot of men today, no offense, would survive in the army.
As it was in those days.
As it was in those days. Yes, it is different, and I think if anyone is thrown into any situation, you'd obviously adapt. But I think if I had to have a loved one go into the army at any point in time, I think I'd be worried. I'd obviously miss them a lot.
That's what Nana did.
It's difficult. I think I'd also feel a bit guilty because I would be able to like live my life, freely to a certain extent, and you're not. That's like a bit sad to me. I'd probably feel a bit guilty when I would do big things. Like if I had to go on a trip overseas or do something memorable or fun, I'd probably feel a bit guilty. But I'd still enjoy it.